Hello, I'm Seamless, and today is Thursday, which means it's time for a new FL Basics tutorial. This one is going to be about how Harmor's Harmonizer works. Harmor's Harmonizer. Now, this is actually pretty sweet. So when you think of harmonization with any given sound, you might be thinking, oh, I could either like have the sound and then add a fifth, add an octave, maybe a third, minor third. Basically play chords and that kind of things, and that's sort of accurate. What the harmonizer does is actually pretty ingenious. So what it does is it has these various three knobs here. It has amount, width, and strength. They've got various defaults. You turn it on, kind of obviousness starts to happen. But what is it that it's doing? So what it's doing is instead of playing more notes at a higher level and then mixing it in, what it's doing is it's actually selecting a group of harmonics and then cloning it above the fundamental tone, above the first note. And how it's determining this is through this width knob. Now, what the width knob does is what the width knob does is it determines how far up it clones the harmonics. So at relatively low levels, you get sort of a drier sort of effect. It's basically only playing signs and like the first harmonic of the cloned harmonics. But if you turn it up really high, you're getting a lot of cloned harmonics, just all the way up there, all the way up the scale. That's what that does. Now, what the strength knob does is it weights it towards the first harmonic and the first couple harmonics, not the fundamental clone, but the first harmonic clone. The width knob changes it from the first harmonic clone up towards the top of all the harmonics that it's cloning. And of course, amount, a generalized mix. Now, over here we have shifting gap and steps and offset and all this good stuff. So basically what this does is it expands or contracts the harmonics that are being cloned. And this actually works pretty much exactly like the frequency and detune function. In that what'll end up happening is that the shift option here spreads the cloned harmonics away from the fundamental, and then the gap spreads the cloned harmonics away from the first harmonic, kind of thing. That's what the manual more or less describes it as. But there's no real reference to see what that does, and so honestly, the best option for using the harmonizer is to just mess around with these stuffs to just kind of get a sound. You can get lots of interesting results. If you right-click it, you get a bunch of options. You can even automate it. And there's also a randomized matrix option, which will just give you random values of these four values. So you can just keep doing it until you find something that sounds cool. Yeah. That is pretty much a neat thing. But I will take this time to actually explain another part of Harmor. This is actually kind of an issue with planning this Harmor series, is that a lot of what certain modules do impact how other modules work. And so it's kind of hard just to focus on one thing and not just have to have other things in there. So for now, we're moving on to something in the advanced tab. We're going to go to the unit order thing. Now, it's actually pretty straightforward. Over here in the effects order, all the effects that are in Harmor on this effects section are pretty self-explanatory. I'll get to them on their own tutorial, but they are audio effects, which is to say they're affecting the audio that's being output from the additive synthesis of Harmor. And so that's what this effects order does. It changes the effects stack. Pretty straightforward. What the unit order does is it changes the stack of the additive processing of Harmor. So on the last tutorial on Tuesday, we talked about the local EQ. So right there, that's first. That's that's getting processed first, and then there's the prism, which I haven't talked about yet. I'm actually gonna talk about that on Saturday. Harmonic randomization, if we have that engaged, and then we have the harmonizer. That's what's happening then. And then we have filters, the phaser, pluck, and blur, and all that good stuff. And then harmonic protection, clipping, and volume articulation. That's all happening then. But you can change, when all this stuff happens, and you might be thinking what exactly what the effect would be. But think for example that the harmonizing unit, Doug Barkin, the harmonizing unit doesn't just play notes higher; it clones harmonics that are active and pastes them up higher. According to the offset and shifting gap and all that good stuff. So when we filter it after the fact, so like say right now the filter 1 is after the harmonizer, you get kind of a clean filter. It's cutting off all the harmonics as you fit. But if I move the harmonizer after the filters, you can see that it's actually doing lots of crazy stuff because it's cloning the harmonics as they're being active after the filter's modification of the harmonics. So that's pretty important when you determine where and when you want your effects unit order kind of deal. So that's pretty good. That's good stuff. There's a lot of other jazz going on in the advanced tab that we're not really going to talk about yet. They will be discussed, but for now, unit order, I want to bring that up in context of the harmonizer, since it has the most obvious effect on things, I think. Yeah. So if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And on Saturday, I'll talk about the prism. That's the thing that's next. Also, look forward to the Audeca stream, which is the next live stream that I'm doing. There's an event for that on my Facebook page. If you want to go check that out, you can. Yay. Yeah. Any questions about anything ever made, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day. Although I can't comment on people's comments anymore. Like, I can comment on some of them, but not all of them. I can't even answer people's questions. Come on, Google. Come on. Ugh.